I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com, and I just wanted to have a little bit of fun today, doing a couple of quotes from Winston Churchill, and sort of trying to apply them to how you can quit drinking, right? How you can use these quotes to quit drinking. So the first quote is, "The pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity. The optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty." That's the way that you should be looking at this. When you quit drinking, once you've got over the starting line of this, then you're going to be presented with a lot of different choices in your life, a lot of different changes, and it's those changes, it's making those changes from day to day, that is really going to change the person who you are, right? It's going to change that individual inside, deep inside you, and it's how you react to these changes that's going to make the biggest difference in your life. So, if you look at each difficulty with a pessimistic viewpoint, then you're not going to see opportunity. You're going to see something that's standing in your way, right? Whereas rabbit running away like mad. Whereas if you look at every opportunity from an optimistic point of view, then you're going to see things as an opportunity. You're going to see them as a chance to improve yourself, right? The second quotation is, "Attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference." And you can say this another way, that perspective is the same thing. It's all on how you look at things, from what perspective you're looking at them, from what framework you look out, I mean, if you quit drinking and your perspective or your attitude is that you can't wait to stop, that you are looking forward to the future without alcohol, and that you're going to do everything in your power to build a better life for yourself, then you're going to do a lot better for yourself than if you sort of turn around and you face the alcohol and you worry about all the things that you're missing in life and all the things that you're not going to be able to have in life now because of this one fucking thing that's missing, right? This alcohol thing. So attitude is 95% of this is attitude, is mind work. It's getting it right in the mind. If you do that right, nothing else matters. It doesn't make any difference how much alcohol is out there in the world, who's drinking what they're saying to you, what they're trying to get you to do, because in your head, you're not going to do it. So that's fucking full stop. You won't do it, right? You'll quit drinking easily. The third one is, "I'm an optimist and it does not seem too much use being anything else," right? And that's my attitude with life. It's, what's the point of being a pessimist, We all have, it's not a be-all and end-all thing. I don't think there's anyone who is the eternal optimist. I think there's certain situations where you have to sort of look at the negative side of things. It's just the way things are, But, in general, I think if you look at life with an optimistic viewpoint, you'll not only have a better life, but you'll achieve more, because, you'll see the opportunities. You'll see that, when quitting drinking, for instance, when you look at this with an optimistic viewpoint, you're going to see the benefits of it. You're going to see your body recovering, and you're going to see your life improving, your relationships improving, your finances improving, all these kind of things improving around your life. If you look at it with a pessimistic point of view, what are you going to see? You're going to see how much you're missing, what you're missing out on, the parties that you can't go to. This is the thing that got you into trouble in the first place. As I said, it's not the alcohol, it's the life that surrounds the alcohol. It's the framework that you've built up around alcohol, or alcohol is a part of that framework. And it's those things that you've got to change over the course of your life. So look, I'm going to do a bit of walking now and carry on this, because I think this is a good video. All right, I'll put this down for a sec. Having a positive attitude and just sort of keeping yourself in the right framework, and keeping your attitude in the right, keeping the right attitude in your head, and just trying to build all your decisions around a positive frame of mind. around an optimistic frame of mind is going to lead you to a lot better places. Now, it takes time to do this. If, alcohol can lead you down into areas where, you're not necessarily going to be thinking very optimistic about your future, Einstein once said that it's very difficult to solve a problem with the same mind that created it. So when you're talking about drinking, when most people, when you stop drinking, you've still got the mind of a drinker, right? You've still got that framework, you've still got the mind, the lifestyle that produced that alcohol problem and all the other problems in your life, right? So you've still got that framework in your life, and you have to gradually dismantle that framework, or at least those parts of the framework that are causing problems, bit by bit. This is not going to happen overnight, right? So maybe a part of that framework is that you're a pessimist, or you're more inclined to think pessimistically than positively. So it's going to take a long while to do this, right? As I say, bit by bit by bit. So I want to give you a few tips on how to do that from my own experience today. The first tip is to mind the basics, right? Make sure if you all the rest of your life is going to be built on a few core principles, right? Getting rid of the bad habits out of your life is a part of that, right? But that's just stopping doing something. It's part of a bigger overall plan. And the overall plan, the basics of what you should be aiming for in your life should be to improve your health. And by that I mean your nutrition, what you actually put into your body, all over, not just the alcohol. Stop doing that. Stop smoking. So you stop putting the stuff into your body that is going to do you damage, and you start replacing that with the things that are going to benefit you, right? So drink plenty of water. Think about your nutrition and study this. This is a big part of how you're going to reduce your hospital stays in the future. You're going to reduce your overall illness in the future, and you're going to increase your positivity, your lifespan, and the quality of your life, right? So, read books about this. I can recommend you a few books. If it's not up yet, I'm going to put it up on the website. Some recommended books that I think everyone should read on this subject. Same thing with exercise, and exercise doesn't have to be this big, mad dash to the gym every day where, you're pumping out weights and you're screaming yourself to death on the treadmill, Getting out walking every day, it's movement. You change your emotions by getting yourself into motion. That's the trick. I have to climb up this thing now, so hold on. Oh yeah. The old legs are not what they used to be. Oh yeah. Jesus. You certainly, as you go through life, you start missing the agility that you had when you were a kid. I certainly do anyway. I'm 50 now. I turned 50 a few weeks ago, depending on when you're watching this video. I'll let you into a secret. I'm making this video 2 days before I'm 50, so when I'm making this video, I'm actually 49, I'm still in my 40s. When you see this, I'll be 50. So, but I feel great. I mean, I can't deny that. And that's about that. It's changing the attitude. It's getting learning about the core habits. The fundamental, basic stuff that you have to get right at this stage, right? And that's your health first and foremost, right? And that's your nutrition and your exercise. Secondly, also to do with your health, is your sleep. Get good sleep. And I can hear be going through some people's minds, well, the only thing that gets me to sleep is alcohol, right? Yeah. So alcohol is knocking you unconscious, right? It's making you go into the state of unconsciousness from consciousness, but that's not sleep, right? And it never will be sleep, no matter how much of a spin you put on it and how much you want it to be sleep. It's not sleep. And quitting drinking alcohol for the first month or so, maybe you're not going to be able to sleep well. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. I didn't. It took me a month. Sorry, I've got more cobwebs. It's these early morning walks, and you get cobwebs coming off the trees and stuff, and especially if somebody hasn't been down here before me, which is normally the case. But if you don't sleep in those first few months, in the first few weeks, first few months, Jesus. But I didn't sleep for the first month. It took me a month to get from not sleeping great, first few days were horrible, just got into bed and I just couldn't sleep. And then by the time day 3 or 4 was there, I was that knackered that all I wanted to do was sleep, and I could sleep, but then once I fell asleep, I would wake up again, and it took a while to get into the routine. But it's like, so what? This is your new life, and this is the price that you have to pay. Not only for all the drinking that you've done, right? I mean, you've taken this instant gratification route so many times, and now it's time to pay the piper. And if all you have to do is pay with a few sleepless nights, then isn't that great? Do you know what I mean? I mean, some people are facing into this journey of having to quit alcohol by going down to the doctor, and the doctor said to them, sorry to tell you this, son, but you've got cirrhosis of the liver, and the best you can hope for is that if you stop drinking now, it won't be any more damage. But your liver is sort of half fucked, right? I mean, if the worst that I've got so much gratitude for the fact that I had pains in my liver. I was feeling like shit beforehand. I was getting heart palpitations, pounding heart in the middle of the night, and I was feeling crap. And I stepped across that starting line not knowing what to expect, not knowing whether it was too late. For me, in so many different areas of my life, whether from a health point of view or from my relationships, all that kind of other stuff. But all I had really were, some of the discomforts, and I couldn't sleep. So I'm ever going to be forever grateful for that. So that first tip is just to get the basics right in your life. If you get the basics right, then an increase in your health, and you increase your health and you get proper sleep, you eat good food, get plenty of exercise. All this is going to add to what I call a vigorous cycle, right? Instead of the vicious cycle. So you eat healthy, that means you have more energy to go out exercising. You exercise better, and that means that you can think more clearly, and it all starts going around in a circle. You think more clearly, so you can think of better ways to eat. You've got more time to spend more energy studying nutrition and exercise and how you can treat your body right. I mean, these things you shouldn't be leaving up to other people. You should be actively taking a part in your own education of this. Go and buy books, watch health videos on YouTube, watch people who are in the position that you want to be in and copy them. It's not that hard to do this, but it does take time and effort, and the results are not going to happen overnight, but it's well worth it. Every part of it's well worth it. When it comes to positivity and negativity, my second tip would be to choose who you listen to very carefully. From that perspective, I've already spoken about, going out and getting books, reading up and educating yourself in about your health and about how to keep yourself healthy, how to get healthy and how to maintain that health over the long run, right? But be very careful about the other influences in your life, you know. I mean, you can have, no matter what area of entertainment you're thinking about, music, television, movies, books that you read, these can have either a positive influence on you or a negative influence on you, right? I mean, if all the television programs that you watch are violent, then you know it's not a very positive influence. Now, same with books, the same with music. You know, you can listen to. There's a lot of violent music out there these days. You know, and a lot of negative. A lot of music that brings out has got a negative undertone to it. So just, you know, choose your influences very wisely. You know, a lot of our influences are from when we were young. You know, my bands when I was young, the people I listened to were ska bands like Madness, Specials, all that kind of stuff. I used to like Paul Young and Tina Turner, Queen, all that kind of stuff, you know, and it was fairly, but I listen to some of the stuff nowadays and it's like, Jesus, you know, the lyrics are does this show my age? But you know, when you, I don't listen to it that much, you know, so I shouldn't really be saying much about it. I mean, I've listened to some songs and I've thought, you know, their subject, the topic of what they're singing about is either very banal or, you know, it's violent and, you know, insightful, you know, and I don't mean it's insightful as in deep. I mean insightful as in inciting people to commit crimes and to do bad shit in their lives, you know. What a great day it is today. What a great day it is every day when you can get up and you can walk and you can breathe. You don't have to worry about a fucking hangover. So that's the second tip, is just to be careful about your influences, you know, be careful about who is influencing your mind, you know. And the third tip is to fake it until you make it, or act as you want to feel, right? So you've heard the old saying, fake it until you make it. That means if you're feeling shitty, if you're feeling down, depressed, smile, you know, put on some upbeat music, you know, watch a comedy, tell yourself a few jokes, make some funny faces into the mirror, do anything that you can to fake a good humour, and eventually it will come about. And you know, in general, the more you do this with yourself, the more your brain will get used to it. So when you do have the odd pessimistic day, when you're feeling a bit down on yourself, then it won't be as difficult to get back up again, you know. The more positive thoughts you can bring into your life, the more you know, positive vibes you can send out, the more you'll get back off other people as well. I mean, it's like another vigorous cycle, you know, where you give, what's the old quote, go through your life with the attitude that you would like other people to show towards you, you know. And that's, if you can do that, then you know, you'll get it from other people all the time, you know. Surround yourself by good people. Surround yourself by good people. Don't put up with fucking assholes in your life, you know. You know, everyone can be an asshole at certain times, but there are certain people who are an asshole most of the times. And to be honest, even if they're fucking family, get rid of them. You know, distance yourself from them, you know, because they're poison. And these people are literally poison because they try to bring everyone else down around them, you know. Surround yourself with people who want to bring you up to their level, you know. It's the same with anything in life. If you're trying to get an education, surround yourself with people who know what, you know, who are in that situation that you want to be in, you know. You know, if you want to quit drinking, then don't surround yourself by drinkers. Surround yourself by people who don't drink. And then if you do drink, the looks of them, they're going to, what the fuck are you doing to yourself? You know what I mean? If you want to eat healthy, don't surround yourself by burger munchers, Surround yourself by people who eat whole foods and treat their body with respect, And then, when it comes to you thinking, oh yeah, fancy a Whopper and a large fries today with a milkshake on the side, then, these people are going to give you a dirty look, They're going to look at you differently, They're going to be thinking, what the fuck are you doing? I thought you were a healthy person. You're putting that crap into your body. That's what you have to do. Surround yourself by optimism, by people who are going to drag you up to their level, going to pull you up to their level, not drag you up. I always remember my brother years ago when he was in college in Dublin, and he was talking about, I'm not going to say who the people are that he was talking about, right? But a certain group of people, he said their whole mentality was to climb up the ladder of success and then kick everyone else off the ladder, They didn't want anyone else up there, the competition. Whereas there was another group of people who, when they climbed up the ladder of success, they were willing to reach down and help you up, because they figured that the more competition that they had up there with them, the harder that they would be spurred to work, that the more motivation they would have to do better. You're only as good as your next best competitor, sort of thing. So always try and find the people in your life who are going to pull you up, not the people who are going to try and fucking knock you off the ladder or pull you back down if they're underneath you, right? And the fourth tip from these Churchill quotes is to start off your day right. Set the context for your day early in the morning, right? Set the context for your day the night before if you can, know what you're going to do for a start in the next day before you actually do it, Make a list of the things that you want to get done the next day, the day before. Then you get up the next morning and you know what you're facing into. But more importantly, is starting that day off with a good routine. I think this is so important, whether you should spend the first hour, 60 minutes to 90 minutes on yourself, on your health, getting some good food in your body. So my routine starts out with a half a litre to a litre of water, depending on how thirsty I am. And this time of the year, I generally drink more than half a litre. It's normally closer to 2 litres of water. I'll let this guy by. Hola, buenas.
Bien, okay.
So start out with 2 litres of water. Then get some exercise. Do what this guy's doing. Get out on a bike, or go out what I'm doing, walking. So that's my first thing. Is I start out with water, hydrating myself after the night. Then get out and do some exercise, do some walking. Then I come back and look after my nutrition. Get a good breakfast in me. Normally either a big smoothie or big bowl of homemade muesli. Mostly that's just fruit, loads of fruit with some oats mixed into it. So that's the way I start my day off, and I keep all the negative thoughts out of my head. So I don't watch the news, I don't read newspapers. I keep the outside world out all the time if I can help it. Some of the time that's not very possible, right? So you can't do that. But other times it is possible, and I manage to do that most of the time. It's only when I'm sort of looking up. The only big negativity I've got in my life at the moment is because I watch Arsenal Football Club, and that brings me some positivity, but depending on who I'm listening to, a a lot of negativity, you know, and often I think, what the hell am I doing, you know? But I've been supporting Arsenal for such a long time that, you know, you're stuck with the football team that you support, and either you stop watching football altogether or you find another team. You just can't do that, you know. I mean, it's impossible to switch to another team, you know, to go over to the enemy, so to speak, you know, and that's what makes football great, you know. Yeah, drifting off there, but I try and minimize the amount of negativity in my life as much as possible and maximize the amount of positivity, and it doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take time, but the more you do this, the more you get used to doing it, the more good you'll feel about it, you know. The better you feel about it, the more you're going to do it, you know. And you know, as I said at the beginning, one of the biggest problems and biggest issues of this whole thing is to break down the frameworks that alcohol is a part of, right? So that whole lifestyle that you've got, that whole whatever it is that you're doing, you know, alcohol is only a part of the problem. So the rest of it is the lifestyle, and you have to break down that lifestyle bit by bit, right? It's not going to happen overnight. And it's the same with, you know, as you're breaking down the thing, you're replacing it with something else. So make sure that you're replacing it with something better than what has gone before. You know, that's the best thing to do. You know, it's you know, things go on, things move on. You get more confidence in the new things that you're doing. The more confidence you get, the easier it is to do. The easier it is to do these things, the easier it's going to be to step outside your comfort zone and move to something else, you know. I mean, in order to change, you've got to step outside your comfort zone. You can't stay in there. You know, there's just no, you know, it's impossible. You've got to sort of think, am I going to get what I want in this life if I stay where I am? And the answer to that is generally going to be no. That the only way that you're going to make change, that you're going to make progress in life and make the things that you want happen, is to get uncomfortable, get outside your comfort zone and do the things that, you know, and I'm not talking about doing fucking stupid things, you know. There's a lot of people that recommend, yeah, you go out and you dress in a pink dress and stuff and walk down the road and stuff, walk down a major high street in a pink dress or in a tutu and stuff like that, just so that you can feel uncomfortable. I think that's stupid, you know. I don't agree with stuff like that. I think that you have to do something which is stepping outside your comfort zone, but it has to be a positive thing. It has to be with a purpose. Otherwise, you know, time is short. You know, don't just do things just because it's getting you outside your comfort zone. Do things that are leading you in the direction that you want to go. You know, do it bit by bit. You don't have to do these things. You don't have to do everything at once. You know, just do it bit by bit. Take it a little bit at a time, and eventually you'll get there. You know, let's take that. You know, the guy coming by me on the bicycle there. When I first started doing this, there was no way that I would have done that, you know. I'd have taken the camera down and tried to hide the camera because I wasn't confident about what I was doing, wasn't confident myself. And now it's like, yeah, whatever, you know. I'm happy doing what I'm doing, you know. I'm quite proud of what I'm doing, you know, and I've got more confidence in myself, and that only comes through time, you know. So it comes through time and keeping your attitude right, keeping that positive attitude. So anyway, that's the end of this. I thought that was just a nice way of looking at some things. I might do a few more of these videos where I look at just famous people and see how they're what they've said, their wise words can help us to figure out our own lives, you know. You might have different ways of looking at these things, right? So I'd love to hear them down below in the comments. Come on over to the website and you can download this and listen to this, download the audio for this. There's also the transcript over there as well. It'll be a pretty long transcript for this one. And until next time, stay healthy, stay positive, keep your optimistic attitude as much as you can throughout your life, you know, no matter what way you're looking at things, you know, just keep your best foot forward and try and look at everything through a positive angle, you know. I think it's always the best way of doing things. You know, there's no point in looking at anything through a pessimistic viewpoint. Keep the alcohol out of your mouth and stay safe. Until next time, I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. Onwards and upwards.